Ben Cox again produced the goods with the bat, making his maiden first-class 100 as Worcestershire continued to frustrate the second division leaders Hampshire on a second shortened day of the LV County Championship match at New Road. A wet outfield from Sunday's heavy rain meant that play didn't commence until 2:15, and when it did, Alexei Kavezi looked to advance from his overnight 65, which had been made out of his side's 175 for 4. He'd moved on to 80 when his partnership of 60 with Cox for the fifth wicket was ended, when Kavezi flicked this ball from James Tomlinson to James Vince at short mid-wicket. Cox, the 22-year-old keeper who's played some crucial innings for his county from number 7 already this season, began this day on 14 and was soon looking good once again. He was especially good through the offside off both front and back foot. This has been the season where he's nailed down the keeping slot at Worcestershire, having played just half a dozen championship matches last year. On this evidence, he has a promising career ahead of him. He has all the shots, including the paddle sweep, which youngster doesn't employ that well these days, and such a stroke brought him the runs he required to get to a 50 for the third time this summer and for the 7th time in his first-class career. He'd needed 105 balls for this one, from which he'd found the boundary 7 times. He now had his eyes on a maiden ton. For the first time in the innings, a sizable partnership was built by Cox and Joe Leach, who played some crunching drives to keep the scoreboard ticking over. The second new ball hadn't brought Hampshire the success that they would have been hoping for, as these two stuck it out for 25 overs together. Cox continued to prosper in the sunshine as he moved into the 70s with this delightful straight drive. The 90-run stand was brought to an end by Matt Coles, and what a moment this was for the Hampshire team analyst, the man who provides us these shots when at the Aegeus Bowl. His name is Joe Maiden, and he took the catch to get shot of Leach for 32. We must congratulate him. David Balcombe followed that up by having Shaikh Chowdhury caught by Will Smith in the gully just after the home side had brought up the 300. Cox was still there, and this pull off Coles went all the way to now take the young keeper into the 80s. His career best, made earlier this summer, was then beaten as he closed in on his 100 with a superb shot. There didn't appear to be too many nerves, although he later admitted that he was a nervous wreck. There certainly would have been plenty of adrenaline running through his body, and when he clipped Tomlinson through mid-wicket, he could hardly wait to celebrate his wonderful achievement. His best before this summer commenced was the 65 he made against this same opposition at this ground last year. This time he'd gone on to get to 3 figures for the first time off 178 balls. It hit 13 fours and a 6 and a knock he won't forget in a very long time. On this evidence, it will be the first ton of many. Jack Chantry would have been thrilled to be the man to first congratulate Cox, and he also batted well as the score continued to build. 51 more runs were added by this pair, who took their side beyond 350 for a 4th and final batting bonus point in this innings. To the penultimate delivery of the 110th over, Cox was finally dismissed as he dragged a rank full toss from Glenn Maxwell out to Danny Briggs on the boundary. Cox dragged himself off after making 104. Chantry nearly threw himself off the ground to then be bowled by Maxwell for 29 at 360 for 9. But the last pair of Syed Ajmal and Charlie Morris were still able to bring up the 400 in the 118th over before Daryl Mitchell called them in with a total on 402 for 9. It gave Hampshire an awkward 6 overs to survive at the end of the day, and they lost Michael Carberry first ball as he turned a short delivery to Tom Fell at leg slip. Mitchell has often used inventive field placings, and he and his bowler have to be congratulated for that. Worcestershire weren't able to come up with anything else before the end of what was another good day for them this season. They performed admirably in both competitions to date, just as the similar-sized Northamptonshire did a year ago. Hampshire ended the day on 10 without loss, with Jimmy Adams and Smith the men to start for them on day 3. The visitors have some work to do as they'll begin the penultimate day 392 runs behind.